My name is Beth Prandini, and I'm a yoga therapist in Santa Monica, California. So we were all new to yoga once. It's easy to see pictures of yoga or go to a fast flow class and think that yoga isn't for you. But there are so many benefits, both stabilizing and flexibility benefits from practicing yoga. So this is a yoga for beginners class. If possible, I would love you to have a few props. A yoga block or even two. Now, it's understandable if you're a beginner, you might not have yoga blocks at your house. So often people use pots or pans, thick books, one of those textbooks from college. So if you only have one, that's fine. Some kind of belt. So once again, if you don't have a belt that's specifically made for yoga, it doesn't matter. Any belt, a dog leash will work great. Some kind of blanket and some kind of pillow. You don't want it to be too thin of a pillow. In yoga, we use these yoga bolsters, which are very supportive pillows. But once again, if you don't have a yoga bolster, any pillow will do. Let's start lying back on our backs. So do take your pillow, and as you lie back on your back, place the pillow under your knees and place any blanket that you have under the back of your skull. Now, with this setup, hopefully your legs are not completely straight. There's a little bit of elevation, a little bit of bend of your knees. If you're not used to lying on the ground like this, it can seem uncomfortable. And in fact, it might be until your body catches up with even the flexibility it might take to lay comfortably on the floor. So you have a few options. You could just bend your knees. It actually feels way more comfortable for me to bend my knees. Or you can take your pillow and you could fold it up. Give it a little more height. Whatever way your pillow works to fold. So I'm going to fold mine a long way. And then either bring your arms into a cactus or into a T. So in yoga, we're very interested in the breath. When you breathe deeply, you're essentially telling your body you're in a relaxed place. For example, your breath naturally deepens and lengthens when you're about to fall asleep. So take a full inhale and hold your breath at the top of the inhale. And then out of your mouth, let the exhale go. Do that again. Full inhale. Maybe fuller than you even think is possible. Hold the breath. Slowly drain the breath out. Do this a few times. Complete inhale and slower exhale. Now, most of us prefer to breathe in and out of the nose. It's less drying. But if you have a deviated septum or some kind of issue, you can breathe in and out of the mouth. I find a really relaxing way is in through the nose, out through the mouth. But see what works for you. In yoga, we have many breathing techniques. So don't worry about right or wrong because we have lots of combinations we use. Let's start to move a little bit. Bring your arms up towards the ceiling. And inhale, reach your arms any amount overhead towards the floor behind you. Exhale, bring your arms back down. Like a good morning stretch, inhale, reach. You might even draw your tailbone down towards your feet. Exhale, arms back down. Let's add a little something. Inhale, reach. Then grab your left wrist and like a crescent moon, reach up and over to the right. Come back to center. Grab your right wrist, stretch up and over to the left. Come back to center. Take your arms down through a cactus and then to your sides. All right, get the pillow out from underneath you. Just move it to the side. Cross your ankles and hug your knees up into your chest. It might feel good to rock a little bit here, side to side. But if your back is feeling particularly vulnerable, it might just feel nice to stay centered. And cross your other ankle on top. Knees to chest pose. A lot of yoga is actually quite literal. We use Sanskrit a lot, but the translations, knees to chest, it says what it means. Uncross. Draw the legs down. Keep the right leg hugged up. Straighten the left leg down. If there's any pain in your low back, when you straighten your left leg, simply bend it. Circle your right ankle both directions. And circle your right leg. Then come to center. Grab behind your right leg. And inhale, move your right leg towards straight. Exhale, bend. Towards straight. Bend. Now as it's moving towards straight, point and flex the foot, the ankle. And make little circles one more time. Switch legs. Hug your left leg up. One knee to chest pose. Right leg can be straight or bent, whatever feels better for your back. Circle your ankle. Breathe freely, circle your leg. Don't be afraid to get things wrong, right? Yoga is not an art. There's no yoga performance. There's no blue ribbon. You just want to feel sensation of strength and ease. Move the left leg towards straight. Bend. Towards straight. Bend. This time as the leg is towards straight, point and flex. And circle the ankle one more time. You might hear a little popping. That's just air that lives in your joints. Place the foot down. Stretch both arms over the ears. Hug the belly down. Another good morning stretch. And then roll over into a fetal position. Use your hands to help press yourself up. All right, let's find our way to a hands and knees position. If your knees are sensitive, mine are, then I like to put a blanket under my knees just as padding. Now, often when we're new to yoga, the thing that bothers us is our wrists. So, first of all, spread the fingers wide. Not so wide that it's painful, but the webbing is increased. Press more into your inner palm than your outer palm. You have more bony support there. Hands as wide as the shoulders are wider. Then the skill is not to dump down into your wrists, but to have a lightness, a lift out of your wrist. Like your arm bones are going to lift up, your core like a tabletop lifting up. And then we move our spine. On an inhale, reach your chest forward, let your tailbone tilt up. On an exhale, the tailbone tilts down, the head releases, a cat pose. Inhale is a cow pose, the belly moves down. Exhale, cat, the belly moves up. Keep going like this, and if essentially your wrists still bother you, that's where the yoga blocks can come in. We can get the same beautiful therapeutic movement of our spine without the wrist. You could either grab your blocks like Lego hands or even place your forearms on the blocks. And then just do any other movements of your spine that you want, side to side or circle. Then find, once again, an even tabletop. So most of us in this kind of tabletop position let our belly go too much towards the cat pose. So as if you're giving yourself a bear hug, hug your side waist in. Hug your core, meaning your whole torso like a straw, like a cylinder. So instead of over falling down or over rounding up, it feels like your spine is long. Look straight down at the floor instead of at your screen. And then take your right leg behind you in mid-air behind your right hip. Like you're going to press something away from you with your right heel. Then re-hug your side core, your side waist in, and reach your left arm forward, opposite arm and leg pose. So this can be done on your wrists or your forearms. Take an inhale. Exhale, come down. Good, look straight down. Take your left leg behind your left buttock in mid-air. Notice if this makes the belly drop down. Reestablish your cylinder, your whole torso like a straw. And then reach your right arm forward. Looking straight down, your neck is long, spine is long, core is waking up. Take one more inhale. Exhale, come on down. Child's pose. So some of us can just sit back to our heels in a child's pose with no problem. You may need to move the blanket out. If you have knee issues, you might need to put the blanket behind the knees, or sometimes you even get a foot cramp in child's pose. So you could put the blanket behind the knees for more space. If the feet really cramp, if you're new to yoga, the feet can cramp too. You can put a blanket under your feet. Like that, yeah. And then ideally your head goes to the floor. If it doesn't, you can put a pillow under your forehead. Now some of you, your knees might still hurt in child's pose. Very normal. Your knees are learning how to move in this shape. They're allowed to move in this shape. Movement is your birthright. So you just have to get your body used to it again. So some of you are fine, but some of you might want to put a block in between your heels and prop yourself up that way. Or even 2 blocks. Now, returning to our breath. This time, breathe wide. Breathe like you could fill up a paper bag. And then exhale like you could crumple that bag. And the bag is your torso. Inhale, inflate. Exhale, hug yourself to the midline. Do a few more. And then crawl yourself up. From child's pose, we can measure our arms really effectively for the downward facing dog. So from the child's pose, crawl your arms straight forward. Hands as wide as your shoulders or even wider if you have shoulder injuries. Once again, press more into your inner palms. Rise to the knees. Parallel your knees. Tucking your toes, pick your spine diagonally up and back, down dog. Bend your left knee a lot. Send your right heel towards the floor. Walking out the dog, bend your right knee. Send your left heel down. Do this a few times. Try to send work back into the legs instead of depending on your arms or your wrists. Lift and lengthen, lift and lengthen. Now bend both knees. And like a ladder, climbing up the side of a house, lengthen up to your tailbone and back. Knees are still bent. Hug your core in. And then legs can stay bent or maybe they straighten a little, down dog. You could even walk your feet wider if you're having trouble getting the weight back. Inhale. Exhale, lower back to that child's pose. Or if the child's pose still bothers your knees, you can sit in this kneeling position, which we are calling kneeling hero Virasana. Soften the shoulders. One more downward facing dog. If you had the blocks, go ahead and move them because we're going to be done with them. Stretch your arms straight, straight, straight forward. If they're too close, it'll put the weight into your arms. Tuck your toes. You might even zip your belly to your spine as you press the weight back into your legs. You could jog them out. You could keep them bent, but lift and lengthen diagonally back. Maybe take some exhales out of your mouth. Walk your feet wide as your mat. Walk your hands back to your feet. Keep your knees bent. Soft forward fold. Grab your elbows and let your neck release down. You might stay center. You might shake your head no. Perhaps sway. Then cross the other forearm in front. And do the same thing. Sway, shake your head, or stay centered. Explore, but keep your knees a little bent. Return to center. Bring your hands to your hips. Knees stay bent. Super long spine like a capital L. And then come up to stand. Step up to the front of your mat. We'll practice our mountain pose. Tadasana is what we would call the blueprint of our standing poses. So there's two ways to practice. You can have your feet all the way together so that your feet are parallel. So depending on the shape of your feet, the inner borders of the big toes are touching, but the heels might not be. Try to parallel your feet like they're on two railroad tracks. If you have a knee, hip, or back injury, walk your feet a little wider. Then go ahead and close your eyes. Relax your jaw and your face. Soften that crease in between the eyebrows. And like a mountain, just observe being. Being in the steadiness of your own experience, your own 2 feet. And then blink your eyes open. We'll practice sun salutations. I'm going to go back to the top of my mat. You're probably still there. Sun salutations can get more and more complicated. I want to teach you a half sun salutation here. So the arms are at the sides in mountain pose. On an inhale, I want you to sweep your arms out, turn, and up. On an exhale, bend your knees, fold over, place your hands lightly on your shins. Let your head go. On an inhale, make that capital L with your spine. Fingertips lightly on the shins. Exhale, fold back in, let your head go. On an inhale, you pass through that capital L. Arms go out, turn, and up. And hands through your heart. Now, for some of us, it doesn't feel good to touch the hands above the head, so arms can be wide. Once again, go with how it feels, not what's right or wrong. Here we go. Inhale, like the good morning stretch we did earlier. Reach your arms up. Exhale, fold. Let go of your neck. Half fold, fingertips lightly on your shin. Fold it back in. Let the spine cascade down. Inhale, arms out. Turn and up. And back to where you started. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half fold. Fold back in like a rag doll, like a wet mop. Then expand to come up to stand. One more time here. Inhale, stretch. You might even direct your tailbone down as your arms go up. And fold. Keep the knees bent. Half fold. Climb the crown of your head straight forward. Full fold, wet mop. Come through the L shape as you reach your arms up. And hands return to your sides. All right, let's take some standing poses. Starting with a lunge. It would be great to have 2 blocks or 2 books or 2 pots of the same size on either side of the front of your mat on their tallest setting. You know, if you don't have these, we'll put our hands on the floor. It just makes it a little nicer to have the elevation. Makes our spine a little freer. So, whatever you have, stand hip bones distance in between and stand in your mountain. We'll take part of the half sun salutation. Inhale, tailbone down, arms up, stretch. Exhale, fold, but place your hands on the blocks. Then the half fold, you stay in the half fold, making your spine long, which is why the blocks come in handy. They just make it easier to lengthen your spine. Then step the left leg way back to a high lunge. Inhale, move your front leg towards straight, and then exhale, bend. Hopefully your back leg is staying straight the whole time. Inhale, front leg towards straight. Exhale, bend. One more time, front leg towards straight. Bend the right knee, keep it bent. Ideally, you have your knee in line with your shin bone. Your back leg is pulling you back to keep pressure out of your knee. If the wrists don't bother in yoga, sometimes when you're new to yoga, the knees bother you. Yes, if you dump your knees forward and they're not used to it, they might not like it. So firm your back thigh back. Go back with the weight. Even take your right glute, your right hip complex back. And then we'll add a twist. Take your right arm out to the right. Roll your belly and your spine to the right. Like we took that cylinder, the straw, and we just rolled it a little bit. Big inhale. Exhale, bring the hands down. Step your left foot forward. And step your right leg back. Same thing on this side. Inhale, left leg as straight as you want it. Exhale, bend. Inhale, left leg towards straight. Exhale towards bend. One more time. So then even though you're bending your left knee, it's like you're resisting it away from the power of your right leg so as not to dump into your left knee. Hands are light. Take your left arm to the left. Revolve your spine to the left. Try to make your spine long. Inhale. Exhale, bring your left hand down. Step the right foot forward. Neck long. Inhale, half fold. Exhale, fold in. Reach the arms out, turn it up, and reset. Hands through your heart to your sides. Let's do some more standing poses. So once again, if you have blocks, great. If you don't, no worries, I'll cue you. If you have blocks, take one in each hand. Step into the center of your mat. Bring your blocks out to the sides and step your feet wide. As wide towards your wrists as feels steady for you. Take the blocks behind your heels, behind your feet. If you don't have blocks, don't worry. I'll cue you without them. So reach the arms out to the sides. Reestablish that you are steady. Like mountain pose, feet are parallel. Pressing down. So make sure they're not too pigeon-toed or too duck-toed. Then turn your right leg open to the right, your whole leg. So your knee, your foot, your hip, the whole thing turns to the right. To make that a little easier, you turn your left foot in just a little bit to the right. Then we'll bend and straighten again. So the left leg keeps you tethered, keeps you safe, as you bend into the right. And then inhale, straight. And exhale, bend. And inhale, straight. One more time, you bend in. And then if you have a block, place your right hand on the block. If you don't, place your right forearm on your right thigh. Now, sweep the horizon line. Take your arm over your ear. And now stretch through your spine in the same diagonal way we've been doing in a lot of the poses. Like you could lift and lengthen your torso. Extended side angle pose. Take another big inhale. Now, exhale, straighten the front leg. So you're either going to have your hand on the block or your shin. Reach your left arm wide. So it's diagonally lengthening out of your right arm. Hug the belly to your spine. Triangle pose. Take another inhale. To come out of this pose, really stand on your left leg. Hug the cylinder of your core. Lift yourself up. Parallel your feet. Take a moment. Relax your arms. Hopefully there was a little bonus strengthening of your arms. Let's do the other side. Take your arms out. Let's turn the right foot in first this time. Turn your right foot in a little bit. That should make it easier to turn your whole left leg deep in the hip socket. So hip, knee, foot, all are going to look at that short edge of the mat. Okay, arms out to the sides. Take an inhale. Exhale, you bend the left knee as the right leg tethers you. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale, bend. Inhale, lift. No pressure on the knee. Stop before there's any pain. Just don't bend as deep. Stay in the bend. Either take your left hand to the block or left arm to thigh. Sweep your right arm across the horizon and then over your ear, extended side angle. Climb through your torso, not just your shoulders up to your ears. Find your breath. Moving to triangle pose. Either your hand stays on the block as you straighten the left leg, or hands to your shins just lightly. Right arm straight up to the ceiling. Sometimes triangle pose can go into your low back, kind of like the hands and knees pose we did. So make sure to take your core back Your side waist hugs you in. These are the muscles of trunk support. Take one more inhale. To come out, really anchor into the right leg, hug the core. Come up. Parallel your feet. If you have one block, grab it. Place it center. The other block you can move out of the way, or if you only have one block, you're fine. Okay, I'm just scooting back a little bit. You don't have to. You can stay right where you are. Firm your legs, almost like you could Lego, plug your hips into the sockets. Hands to your hips. Take a big inhale. Point your elbows back. And exhale, fold in. Put your hands on that block. Shift a little bit side to side, left and right, by bending one knee and then the other. To protect your knees, hinge your hips backwards. So not knees forward, right? Return to a centered place. Press evenly into the feet. Taking another twist. Bring your right arm out like a wing to the right. You want your spine to be parallel to the floor. So if you do have a yoga block, you can adjust it to your height. And then turn your torso to the right, twisting forward fold. Hopefully there's just a gentle stretch somewhere in the back of your legs or maybe your left inner thigh. Inhale. Exhale, bring your right hand down. Take your left arm out. Lengthen your torso like that straw and then roll it to the left. Take the shoulders wide. Inhale. Exhale, come back down. To come out of this pose, you could wiggle your feet closer together or firming your thighs, hands to your hips. Come up to stand. Let's all wiggle our feet a little closer together. So in yoga, we also work on our balance. So taking tree pose, Vrikshasana, move any props out of the way. If you're just beginning to work on your balance, you might want access to a wall or a chair. All right, so I'm going to use the wall. So let's step to the front of our mat. So we're all the same here. Step back to where we were for our sun salutations. And we'll start by standing on our right leg. So if you need a wall or a chair, your right hand on wall or chair. Bring your left hand to your hip. Take the left leg forward. Turn it deep in your hip socket. And then place your left foot onto your right leg. Depending on how your balance feels, you might take your foot really low, or you might take it really high above your knee. But I do suggest pressing your left heel into your right leg and your right leg into your left heel. Wherever it is, make a little seal of foot to leg, leg to foot. Get that stability. And then climb up your spine like the ladder. And you might reach your arms up to the ceiling. If you have a shoulder injury and that bothers you, shoulders, hands can be at your heart. Hug the cylinder of your torso. Feel like you could lift it up. Take one more inhale. And exhale. Slowly release. Hopefully a little strength on the left hip too. Okay, I'm going to turn around. You don't have to. We're just switching legs. Stand on your left foot. You want the feet parallel. Set yourself up for success. Right hand to hip, right foot forward. Turn your right leg deep in your hip socket. Right foot to left leg. Press the left leg into the right foot into the left leg. Make a seal. Muscles of stability will turn on. Hands can be anywhere you need them to be. Climb up through your spine. Imagine you're wearing a special yoga sweatshirt that zips up from your pubic bone to your belly, to your heart, even up to the crown of your head. Take one more big inhale. And then exhale. Slowly release. One more standing pose here. We'll take chair pose, Utkatasana. There's different ways to teach this. I want to teach you a very stabilizing, strengthening version. So, feet hip bones distance apart. Or if you do have a knee injury, you could consider bringing your feet all the way together. But try it hip bones distance, see how it feels. Drive into your heels a lot, like you could make thumbprints of your heels into the floor. Take your hands at your hips. And for this version of chair, I want you to hinge your hips backwards. Not down, but backwards. So your spine is still this diagonal ladder. Almost stick your tailbone back. Then hug the core like we've been doing, bear hug. Arms can go to your heart or above your ears. So for this version, instead of moving the knees forward, take the knees backward. Maybe you sit a little lower, 3 more breaths. Now to come up, press into your heels, lift the sleeves of your legs up, and then hands return to your heart. Let's find our way down to hands and knees. Half sun salutation that we did before. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Half fold. And simply crawl down onto your knees. Shift onto one hip. Swing your legs forward. So we'll do a bit of strengthening for the front of the legs with a very classic yoga pose, boat pose. Again, I want to teach you an introductory version. So knees are bent. Start by grabbing behind the knees. You can just kind of hold on to your arms with your knees. And notice how your back might be round. Let's, again, diagonally climb through your spine. It might feel like the inner borders of your shoulders, center of your back, can move in. If this is called a boat pose, your back should feel like it is rowing the boat. If it helps you to move your arms forward and do the rowing motion so you can feel that, do that. And then return the hands to the knees. Lean back. Notice here if you round. Keep firming the muscles of your upper back onto your chest. It feels like your chest is widening. Let's just start with one leg. Inhale, just lift your left leg up without falling backwards. And exhale, take it down. Right leg up. Take it down. Notice if you've rounded. Re-lengthen. Zip up that yoga sweatshirt I talked about a second ago. And then see if you could keep both knees bent in front of you without over-rounding or rolling back. Then row your boat arms forward. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come down. Hopefully the front of your legs felt some strength. Okay. Eventually we straighten our legs. I'm not going to make you do that version today. Grab behind your knees again. Firm the muscles of your upper back, widen your chest. Just one more time, we're going to count to 5. Squeeze the inner thighs, row your boat, hold for 5, 4, spin the inner thighs, 3, 2, 1. Let's come down with a little belly strength. So this time, rounding the back on purpose, scoop your core like an ice cream scoop. We're going to roll down as slowly as we can. Roll down for 5. 4. Get all your clothes stuck in your belly. Round, round, round. 3, 2, 1. Keep the knees bent. Just lay onto your back for a moment. Breathe as if somehow you could choose to breathe into the back of your body. Like you could take a little sponge, clean out. Then windshield wiper your legs to the left and right. Your feet can be really wide. Usually that feels best. So my feet are as wide as my mat. And knock your knees in. With your arms, I want you to make what we would call robot arms or forklift arms. So you take your arms, like a forklift, at your sides with your elbows bent. Then row the arms down, those outer upper arms, so the chest broadens. It feels a lot like that boat pose, the muscles of the upper back hugging the back. Parallel your feet. Like we did in the chair pose, drive into your heels. Bridge pose. Take an inhale. Exhale, tilt your tailbone and your sit bones diagonally up to the back of the knees. To protect your knees so they're not doing all the work, press into your arms, broaden your chest. Take an inhale. Exhale, roll down. I just want you to roll up and down a few times. And while you're rolling up and down, I want to talk about knees. Because once again, if you're new to yoga, you might have to build some strength to support your knees. So some of us, the inner thighs might be a little weak. You might need to put a block in between your inner thighs. And as you turn on these muscles, sometimes that gets rid of knee pain. Now, some people are the opposite. They might need to go out. So you might need to press your legs into your hands. Ideally, the knees are parallel. Ideally, the glutes and the hamstrings, the back of your legs are lifting you. Your upper back is working. You could also, of course, adjust your feet farther, closer. Okay, next time that you roll up, try to find the version that feels the best for you. You could roll your heels forward, you could roll your heels backward. You have to investigate where you need strength. And then stay here for 5 breaths. Some of you might want to straighten your arms, interlace them underneath you. There's so many variations here. You could grab a yoga belt, you could grab your mat. Take one more inhale. And then exhale, slowly roll down your spine. Pick your hips up. Scoot them to the right of your mat. Yoga twist. Bring your knees up into your chest as tight as you can. And let them fall towards your left elbow when your arms are out to the sides. And then roll your belly button to the right. If this is too much stretch for your back or your chest, you just take your pillow, put it underneath your left leg, change the angle, make the angle less severe. Let's use some stability to come up. Hug the core, squeeze the legs, bring them up. Lower the feet down, take your hips center. Same thing other side. Yoga twist, hips lift. Move them to the left. If you're using your pillow, it goes to the right. Arms to the sides. Knees to the chest. Have a tight angle like a fetal position. And then let the legs fall to the right. Let the belly, the core, spin to the left. You could even wiggle worm your spine up towards the crown of your head and over to the left. Any of these poses feel good? You want to stay a little longer? Pause the video. To come out, hug the core. Lift your legs up. Place the feet down. Even out your hips. Now, in yoga, you have to find what your body needs and wants. So right now, your back might really want another set of windshield wipers. It might want to hug the knees. It might want a mini bridge. It's not one size fits all. So do some movement of your spine here. And then roll over to one side, pick yourself up. We'll finish with just a few seated poses. So we'll start with a bound angle pose, or you might know it as a butterfly pose. Take your feet forward, soles of the feet together. If this is putting any strain on your back, you sit on a blanket or a pillow. Take your thumbs to your feet. Now, maybe the butterfly needs to move a little bit. I like to rock it a little bit. Side to side, you get a little back stretch with it. If the knees feel vulnerable, you could massage calf muscles forward. You can also put blocks under your knees. There's so many ideas in yoga. The longer you practice, the more ideas you'll get. Then we're going to round our back. Take an inhale. And exhale, let the back round any amount. It should be safe to round your back here. If for any reason it bothers your back, you lengthen like the ladder. And slowly roll yourself up. Draw your knees together. Straighten your legs. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see me better. What we call a staff pose or a stick pose, Dandasana. So you want your spine to look like a stick. You want your legs to look like a stick. But sometimes if the spine is tight or we've been sitting at our desk or our kitchen table a long time, we can't lengthen. So you might need to roll up a blanket or a pillow and give yourself some extra spine. Give yourself some more length. Same idea with the back of the legs. You're just giving yourself some height. Bring your hands slightly outside of your hips. Lightly draw the hands down to lengthen the spine even more. Take a few breaths. Dandasana. And then if you are at the keyboard a lot, you might need to take your chin slightly back. If this is confusing, you can make a hammock at the back of your head and draw your head back into the hammock, and you'll feel the feeling of the chest and the shoulders that I'm trying to get to. Take one more inhale. Exhale, look for your yoga belt. Do our yoga forward fold. So once again, it can be a dog leash. It does not matter. Belt around your feet. So there's a little bit of our rowing that we learned in boat pose. Okay? So it's sort of the opposite of being stressed, sitting on a chair doing your work on Zoom. It's the opposite of that. Okay. The goal is to keep your spine long, like a ladder, like a drawbridge. So not to curve. Inhale, get even taller. And then exhale, as you hinge your hips, you might walk your hands down the belt a little bit, but not enough that you round the spine. Keep the rowing of your boat. So a little bit of tension on the belt, rowing back. Notice if your neck is trying to compensate you forward, you might need to take that sort of double chin action. In yoga, we call this throat lock. It's a strong word, lock, but you might feel it as you put your neck in place. Take a few more breaths. There's softer versions of this pose, just for now, keeping the row. And on your next inhale, lengthen the crown of your head. Come up. Finishing with a twist. Remove your yoga belt. Bend your right knee in line with your right sit bone. Take your left arm, wrap it around, hug your right leg. Inhale, press down into the left leg to lengthen up through the crown of the head. Turn to the right, bring your right hand behind you. If you can't reach the floor, block can be there. I have long arms, so I don't have that problem. We're all different. Now take your shoulders, widen down your back. One more huge inhale. And exhale. Come back to center. Gently release your right leg. Bend your left knee in line with your left sit bone. Lengthen the spine. Wrap your right arm around your left leg. Turn your belly to the left. Press down into your right leg as you rebound through the crown of your head. Take another inhale. I'm even using my eyebrows. And then take your left hand behind you. Let your belly muscles, these side muscles, churn to the left. Right, there's even a version here where we hook the elbow to get a little more leverage. One more inhale. Exhale, unwind. Release the left leg. If you're sitting on a blanket, scoot off. Moving into our yoga relaxation. There's even a little learning curve with what's relaxing for you as far as this detachment pose. Basically, you might want to mirror the position we started with. So, blanket under skull. Blanket under knees, or knees can be fully bent. So I'm rolling this pillow in half like a yoga bolster. Some people can lay flat and feel comfortable. It's just not everyone's story, right? And then you want to wiggle and adjust until you feel more comfortable. You might take your shoulders down your back. You might scoot your tailbone. Your arms should be anywhere it's comfortable, at your sides. If there's any wiggling that could make you any more comfortable, do that. And then just stay for 60 seconds and see if you settle. Now there is a possibility, especially if you're brand new to yoga, that your back received a lot of strength in this practice. And it just might not like laying here. So you might roll into a fetal position. If you're comfortable on your back, just stay there. In that fetal position, you have to arrange yourself, so you might make a pillow with your arms. Sometimes I put the yoga bolster in between the legs, right? Pregnant women do this a lot, soothing for the hips and the low back. And then wherever you end up, fetal position or on your back, go ahead and relax your face and your jaw. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, then close your eyes. If it doesn't feel comfortable for you, just stare at something that doesn't move. And basically, we give ourselves a few minutes to do nothing. No expectations. We call this Shavasana. If you really are new to yoga, these are
some people's favorite category of poses, what we would call restorative poses, where we just be. So for a few minutes, staying here, just enjoying the present moment. Bring your awareness back to your breath, back to your body. Do any wiggling or stretching that you need. If you're on your back, roll over into fetal position. Slowly pick yourself up. Come up to sit. Once again, it might feel most comfortable to sit on a blanket or a pillow. In yoga, we finish with a sign of respect, a symbolic hand position, prayer mudra. Let this be a symbol of respect for yourself, for coming to yoga, and your higher self, whatever it is that leads you along your path. So bowing with gratitude, finishing with the word namaste, which we could translate to mean, I respect you, you respect me. Namaste. Thank you for taking the time to practice. I am available for Zoom privates. Email me, Beth@bethprandiniyoga.com.